In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the cosmos, where stars burned like distant promises and nebulae swirled in colors no human eye had ever truly captured, the war between humanity and the Toxari Empire raged on. It was a conflict born of misunderstanding, fueled by greed over resource-rich asteroids, and marked by the kind of brutality that turned soldiers into legends or ghosts. Amid this chaos, Sergeant Rex Harlan, a rugged Earth-born fighter with a jaw set like forged steel and eyes that had seen too many worlds crumble, found himself hurtling through the void in a crippled escape pod. His ship, the Valiant Dawn, had been ambushed by a Toxari fleet, their vessels sleek and predatory, slicing through space like shadows with fangs. Rex gripped the controls, sweat beading on his brow despite the pod's failing life support. Alarms blared in his ears, a symphony of doom. As the pod spun toward the emerald-hued planet below, Zarathia, the heart of the Toxari domain. He'd heard the stories whispered in barracks back on Terra. The Toxari were not just warriors but enchantresses, their females possessing a beauty that could disarm even the hardest veteran. But beauty came with a price. Their kisses, those soft, inviting touches of lips, carried a neurotoxin so potent it could fell any alien in seconds, unraveling nerves like frayed wires. It was their ultimate weapon, a blend of seduction and death, reserved for interrogations or executions that left no trace but a serene corpse. As the pod breached the atmosphere, flames licking its hull, Rex braced for impact. The crash was a thunderous roar, shaking him to his core as the pod burrowed into a lush forest of bioluminescent trees. Dazed but alive, he kicked open the hatch, emerging into air thick with alien scents, sweet like jasmine mixed with ozone. His combat suit hummed, scanning for threats, but before he could orient himself, they were upon him. Shadows detached from the undergrowth, Toxari warriors, all female, their forms lithe and mesmerizing. Leading them was Zara, the high commander of Zarathia's defenses. Her hair cascaded like fresh snow down her back, framing a face of porcelain skin that glowed faintly under the dual moons. Small, pointed ears peeked through her tresses, adding an elfin charm to her otherwise regal presence. She wore armor that was as much art as protection, flowing silks interwoven with metallic threads, hugging her curvaceous figure in ways that accentuated every graceful movement, leaving just enough to the imagination to stir forbidden thoughts. Zara's eyes, a piercing violet, locked onto Rex as her warriors encircled him, energy blades humming at their sides. "Human intruder," she hissed in a voice like velvet over steel, her lips curving into a smile that promised both pleasure and peril. "You dare trespass on sacred Zarathia. Your kind has spilled enough blood in these stars." Rex raised his hand slowly, his pulse rifle slung across his back, knowing resistance was futile against a dozen of them. He was built for battle, broad shoulders, scars mapping his arms from past skirmishes, but here, alone, he felt the weight of vulnerability. Yet, there was something in Zara's gaze that wasn't pure hatred, a flicker of curiosity, perhaps, at this bold invader who had survived the descent. "I'm just a soldier," he replied, his voice steady, laced with that unyielding human grit. "Crashed here by accident, no fight if you don't start one." Her laugh echoed through the trees, a sound both melodic and menacing. The warriors tightened their circle, but Zara waved them back, stepping closer. She was taller than most human women, her presence commanding, yet there was an allure in her proximity that made Rex's heart race, not from fear, but from an unexpected pull. In the stories, Toxari females were said to ensnare their prey with charm before delivering the fatal blow. Was this it? He watched as she tilted her head, studying him like a rare specimen. "You humans are peculiar," Zara murmured, her breath warm against the cool night air. "So resilient, so intriguing, but resilience has its limits." With a fluid motion, she closed the distance, her hand grazing his cheek. Rex tensed, knowing what might come next. The kiss, the death sentence for any non-Toxari. But in that moment, as her lips hovered inches from his, a spark ignited not of toxin, but of something deeper, a cosmic collision of worlds. The warriors watched in silence, their eyes wide with anticipation. Zara leaned in, her violet gaze never leaving his, and pressed her lips to Rex's in a kiss that was meant to end him. It was soft at first, exploratory, then deepening with an intensity that surprised even her. For Toxari, this was execution; for Rex, it was a revelation. The neurotoxin surged through him, a tingling wave that should have seized his nerves, stopped his heart, but instead, nothing. No pain, no collapse. His body absorbed it like a harmless elixir, and then something extraordinary happened. A rush of energy flooded his veins, sharpening his senses, amplifying his strength. Colors brightened, sounds amplified, and a surge of power made his muscles coil with newfound vigor. Zara pulled back, her eyes widening in shock. "Impossible," she whispered, touching her lips as if burned. Rex stood there, unharmed, feeling invincible. The warriors gasped, blades activating in confusion. What sorcery was this? A human, immune to their deadliest gift? In that frozen instant, Rex could have fought, could have fled. But the kiss lingered on his lips, a taste of forbidden stars, and he saw in Zara's expression not just defeat, but awe. The war had just taken a turn neither side expected. As alarms wailed in the distance, human reinforcements or Toxari patrols, Rex grabbed her arm, not in aggression, but urgency. "We need to move, whatever just happened, it's changed everything." Zara hesitated, her world upended by this unbreakable human. For the first time, a Toxari leader felt the stirrings of something beyond duty, desire, mixed with the thrill of the unknown. Together, they vanished into the forest, the first threads of an alliance weaving amid the chaos of war. But the night was young, and dangers lurked in every shadow. As they ran, Zara glanced at him, her mind racing. How could a mere human survive her kiss? And why did it awaken feelings she had long suppressed? Rex, empowered by the toxin turn boost, felt his body humming with energy, ready for whatever came next. Little did they know, this was only the beginning of a bond that would shake the galaxies. Deeper into the forest they plunged, the bioluminescent flora casting ethereal glows on their path. Zara moved with the grace of a predator, her silken armor whispering against the leaves, while Rex matched her stride, his enhanced senses picking up scents and sounds he never noticed before. "What did you do to me?" he asked, his voice low, laced with wonder rather than accusation. "It wasn't me," she replied, her tone a mix of frustration and intrigue. "My kiss. It should have ended you. The neurotoxin is infallible against all known species. Yet you stand, stronger than before." She stole a glance at him, noting how his eyes seemed sharper, his movements more fluid. In Toxari lore, such a reaction was unheard of, a myth whispered among elders about a fated mate who could withstand the venom and unlock hidden potentials. Rex chuckled softly, the sound surprising even him amid the tension. "Humans are full of surprises. We've adapted to poisons on our own world, snake bites, bad food, you name it. Maybe we're just built different." But deep down, he felt the pull toward her, that kiss igniting more than just physical power. It was as if her essence had mingled with his, creating a connection that defied logic. They reached a clearing where a hidden Toxari outpost loomed, its spires blending seamlessly with the trees. Zara signaled for caution, but it was too late. A patrol emerged, spotting them. "Traitor!" One warrior snarled at Zara, recognizing her but seeing the human at her side. Energy blades ignited, and the fight erupted. Rex moved like a storm, his temporary enhancements turning him into a blur. He dodged a slash that would have cleaved him in two, countering with a punch that sent a warrior flying into a tree with bone-cracking force. Zara fought beside him, her own skills honed by years of command, but she couldn't help marveling at his prowess. One attacker lunged at her, blade aimed for her throat, but Rex intercepted, grappling the foe and twisting her arm until the weapon dropped. "Not today," he growled, his voice echoing with newfound authority. The battle was fierce, blades clashing against his armored suit, sparks flying in the night. Zara unleashed a flurry of strikes, her movements a deadly dance. But when one warrior got too close, she leaned in for a kiss, delivering the toxin that dropped her opponent instantly. Rex, witnessing it, felt a pang of something: jealousy, protectiveness. He didn't know, but it fueled him further. As the last foe fell, panting and victorious, they stood amid the fallen. Zara turned to him, her chest heaving, hair disheveled but still radiant. "You fight like a god," she breathed, stepping closer. The air between them crackled, the aftermath of battle mixing with the lingering effects of their earlier contact. Rex met her gaze, the enhanced energy making every sensation heightened. "And you're unlike anything I've known." In that moment, with the moons overhead and the forest whispering secrets, he pulled her into another kiss, this one voluntary, passionate, free of intent to harm. It was a spark that promised flames, a human and a Toxari entangled in a web of fate. But the war didn't pause for lovers. Distant explosions lit the horizon, human dropships breaching the atmosphere. Zara's people would see her as a betrayer, his as a captive sympathizer. Yet, as they broke apart, hands intertwined, Rex knew this was no ordinary encounter. Humanity's unyielding adaptability had just found its most alluring test. They pressed on toward a hidden cavern Zara knew, a sanctuary where she could contact loyalists who might understand this anomaly. The path wound through glowing vines that pulse like veins, and Rex's mind raced with questions. Why help me? You could have let them kill me. Zara's lips quirked in a rare smile. Because you survived, in my culture, that means something profound. A sign from the stars, perhaps. Her hand brushed his, sending a jolt through him, not toxin, but electricity of attraction. As they entered the cavern, crystals illuminating the space in soft blues, Rex felt the enhancement waning slightly, but the bond growing. Here, in the heart of enemy territory, a forbidden romance was blooming amid the ashes of war, with humanity poised to turn the tide in ways no one could predict. The cavern's depths offered respite, water trickling from stalactites into pools that reflected their figures like mirrors to another world. Zara shed her outer armor layer, revealing more of her elegant form, the silks clinging in ways that made Rex avert his eyes momentarily out of respect, or perhaps to steady his racing heart. We must plan, she said, her voice echoing softly. Your fleet approaches, but my empress will not yield easily. Rex nodded, stripping off his damaged helmet, revealing tousled dark hair and a stubble that spoke of days in the field. Then let's make them listen, together. As they sat by the pool, sharing stories of their worlds, her tales of Toxari rituals under triple suns, his of Earth's oceans and unbreakable spirit, the distance between species melted. Laughter echoed when he described human courtship, clumsy dates and awkward dances, contrasting her people's lethal affections, but peace was fleeting. A holographic alert buzzed from Zara's wrist device, reinforcements inbound. They rose, ready for the next clash, their alliance forged in kiss and combat. Outside, the forest stirred with approaching forces. Rex, still buzzing from the toxin's gift, felt ready to lead. Zara, by his side, wondered if this human could indeed be the savior her legends foretold. The skirmish that followed was a whirlwind. Toxari scouts ambushed them, but Rex's heightened reflexes turned the tide. He leaped over fallen logs, disarming one with a precise strike, while Zara covered him with energy blasts. One scout grabbed her, pulling her close for a counterkiss, but Rex intervened, his fist connecting with jaw-shattering force. She's with me now, he declared, the words carrying weight beyond the moment. As the scouts retreated, wounded but alive, Zara looked at him with eyes full of unspoken emotions. You risk everything for a stranger. You're no stranger anymore, Rex replied, pulling her close once more. In the aftermath, their embrace deepened, the line between ally and lover blurring under the alien skies. Deeper bonds awaited, but for now, survival beckoned. They moved toward a ridge overlooking Zarathia's capital, where the real battle loomed. Humanity's fleet dotted the stars, descending like avenging angels. Rex radioed his superiors, his voice firm, "Hold fire. I've got an inside line." Zara, trusting this enigmatic human, prepared to betray her own for a greater peace or perhaps for the fire he ignited in her soul. The city below gleamed, spires piercing the clouds, but tension hung heavy. As they descended, whispers of their union spread, turning heads and igniting rumors. A Toxari guard challenged them, but Zara's command halted him. This human is under my protection. Inside a grand hall, adorned with holographic tapestries of ancient battles, they faced the council. Elders eyed Rex suspiciously, but Zara spoke passionately. He withstood the kiss. He is the one from prophecy. Murmurs rippled, but doubt lingered. To prove it, an elder demanded a demonstration. Zara hesitated, but Rex nodded. Their lips met again, public yet intimate, and once more, he emerged unscathed, empowered. The council gasped, beliefs shaken, but before consensus, alarms blared, human bombers inbound. Chaos erupted, and Rex sprang into action, using his boost to rally both sides. In the fray, he shielded Zara from a falling beam, his strength saving her. Gratitude shone in her eyes, evolving into something profound. As the dust settled, tentative talks began. Humanity's adaptability, embodied in Rex, bridged worlds, but personal stakes rose. In quiet moments, their touches lingered, promises unspoken. Nights in hidden chambers brought closeness. Zara traced his scars, sharing vulnerabilities. My people fear emotion, it weakens the toxin. Rex smiled. Ours thrive on it. Their conversations wove dreams of a shared future, alien and human entwined, yet war's shadow loomed. A final assault threatened, and Rex, supercharged by repeated kisses, became the spearhead. Battles raged across plains, lasers crisscrossing skies. Rex led charges, dodging blasts, his enhanced agility turning him legendary. Zara fought beside, her toxin felling foes, but her heart anchored to him. In a pivotal clash, he faced the Empress's champion, a hulking Toxari male immune to lesser threats. The duel was brutal fists, blades, raw power. Rex's boost waned, but human tenacity prevailed, pinning the champion. Victory cheered, but exhaustion hit. Zara's kiss revived him, not just physically, but emotionally. Peace negotiations followed, Rex as mediator. Bonds formed, cultures merged, but their story was just beginning, a testament to love's conquering force in the stars. As the holographic alert faded from Zara's wrist, leaving a faint glow in the cavern's crystalline light, Rex felt the familiar surge of adrenaline mixing with the lingering buzz from her kiss. The air grew thicker, charged with the promise of impending danger, but also with something more intimate, a tension that had been building since their lips first met. They moved as one toward the cavern's mouth, her hand brushing his arm in a way that sent sparks through his skin, deliberate or accidental. He couldn't tell, but it stirred him nonetheless. The forest outside was alive with subtle movements, leaves rustling not from wind but from stealthy footsteps, shadows lengthening as Toxari scouts closed in. Zara's violet eyes narrowed, scanning the tree line with the precision of a hunter, her body tensing beside him. She was a vision in the dim light, her silken garments clinging to her curves from the earlier exertion, the fabric translucent in places where sweat had dampened it, hinting at the smooth, porcelain skin beneath. Rex couldn't help but steal a glance, his enhanced senses making every detail vivid, the gentle rise and fall of her chest, the way her white hair cascaded over her shoulders like a waterfall of moonlight, framing those delicate, pointed ears that twitched at the slightest sound. "We can't fight them all here," she whispered, her breath warm against his ear as she leaned in close, her proximity intoxicating. The scent of her was exotic, a blend of floral nectar and something electric, like ozone after a storm. It made his pulse quicken, not just from the threat outside, but from the way her body brushed his, soft yet strong, a reminder of the power she wielded. "There's a hidden path to the ridge. If we make it there, we can signal your fleet without alerting the entire garrison." Rex nodded, his hand instinctively finding the small of her back as they slipped into the underbrush, guiding her or perhaps steadying himself against the rush of emotions. The contact was electric, her skin warm through the thin silk, and he felt her shiver slightly, not from fear, he realized, but from the same unspoken pull that had drawn them together. The forest enveloped them, bioluminescent vines pulsing like veins in a living organism, casting erratic lights that danced over their forms. Every step was fraught with suspense. A twig snap could betray them, a distant call from a scout could summon a horde. As they navigated the twisting path, Zara's movements were fluid, almost seductive in their grace, her hips swaying with each careful placement of her feet. Rex followed, his body humming with the toxin's gift, every sense heightened to an almost unbearable degree. He could hear her heartbeat, steady but accelerating, matching his own. The air between them thickened with unspoken words, the danger amplifying the intimacy of their escape. At one point, they paused behind a massive glowing trunk, pressed close as a patrol passed mere feet away. Her back against his chest, he felt the curve of her body mold to his, her hair tickling his neck. She turned her head slightly, lips parted as if to speak, but instead, their eyes locked, violet depths swirling with a mix of urgency and desire. The moment stretched, suspense coiling like a spring. Rex's hand slid up her arm, fingers tracing the elegant lines of her armor's edge. Where silk met skin, she didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into him, her breath hitching. "Rex," she murmured, her voice a husky whisper that sent shivers down his spine. "This, whatever this is, it's dangerous, more than the scouts." He swallowed hard, the erotic charge of the situation making it hard to focus. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the only sounds their synchronized breathing and the faint hum of energy weapons in the distance. "Danger's what we do," he replied, his voice low and rough, his thumb brushing the sensitive spot behind her ear, those pointed tips that marked her as otherworldly, yet so alluring. She gasped softly, a sound that was both vulnerable and inviting, her body arching slightly against him. The patrol moved on, but the tension lingered, transforming from fear into something hotter. More primal, they continued, but now their touches were deliberate, her hand grazing his thigh as she steadied herself over a root, his arm wrapping around her waist to help her over a fallen log. Each contact built the suspense, a slow burn that promised eruption. Zara's stories from earlier echoed in his mind. Toxari affections were lethal, but with him, they were safe, transformative. What would happen if they explored that further? Deeper into the woods, the path narrowed, forcing them even closer. The air grew humid, heavy with the scent of blooming night flowers that released pheromones into the breeze, nature's own aphrodisiac on Zarathia. Rex felt it affecting him, or perhaps it was just her. Zara stumbled slightly on a vine, and he caught her, pulling her against him fully. Their faces inches apart, her lips, those deadly, tempting lips, hovered near his. The erotic pull was undeniable. He could see the desire mirrored in her eyes, a storm brewing behind the violet calm. "Why does this feel so right?" she whispered, her fingers trailing up his chest, exploring the contours of his suit, feeling the hard muscle beneath. The touch was exploratory, teasing, sending waves of heat through him. Suspense hung in the air. Would they give in here, now, with danger closing in? Rex's hands found her hips, gripping gently but firmly, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them. Her body was soft where it needed to be, firm from warrior training, a perfect blend that made his mind reel. "Because we're meant to," he breathed, leaning in. Their lips met again, not in battle or proof, but in pure, heated passion. The kiss was deeper this time, her tongue tentatively exploring, carrying a faint trace of the toxin that now invigorated rather than harmed. Rex felt the surge return, but laced with arousal, every nerve ending alight. Her hands roamed, slipping under the edges of his suit, nails grazing skin, eliciting a low groan from him. The forest faded, there was only her, the way she pressed against him, the soft moans escaping her lips, the erotic dance of their bodies seeking more. But suspense intruded, a distant shout from scouts, pulling them apart breathless. Zara's cheeks flushed, a rare vulnerability on her regal face. "We can't, not yet," she said, though her eyes said otherwise, promising more once safe. They hurried on, the erotic tension now a fuel, driving them faster toward the ridge. The path steepened, climbing toward the overlook, and with each step, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Rex's enhanced hearing picked up whispers. The commander, with a human? Betrayal scented the air, adding layers to the suspense. Would her own people turn on her fully? Zara's hand tightened in his, a silent vow amid the chaos. At a narrow ledge, they paused again, the drop sheer below, the city lights twinkling far off like stars fallen to ground. Wind whipped her hair, pressing her silks tighter against her form, outlining every curve in a way that made Rex's breath catch. She turned to him, pressing close for warmth or excuse. "If we fall here, at least it was with you," she said, her voice laced with erotic undertone, her body language inviting despite the peril. Rex cupped her face, thumb tracing her lip. "We won't fall." Their kiss this time was brief but intense, a stolen moment of heat that left them both yearning. Her body responded, arching into him, hands clutching his back as if to merge their forms. Breaking away, they pushed forward, the ridge in sight, but as they crested, an ambush waited, 3 scouts, blades drawn, eyes wide at the sight of their entangled commander. "Surrender the human, Zara," one demanded, voice trembling with confusion. The fight erupted, suspense peaking as blades clashed. Rex moved with superhuman speed, disarming one with a swift kick, his body still thrumming from her touch. Zara fought fiercely, her movements a seductive blur, but one scout grazed her arm, drawing blood. Rage fueled Rex, he tackled the attacker, pinning with ease, the toxin's boost making him unstoppable. As the scouts lay defeated, Zara approached, her wound shallow but stinging. She looked at him with eyes full of heat. "You protect me as if I'm yours." Her hand touched his chest again, fingers lingering, tracing lower in a teasing path that promised exploration. "You are," he replied, pulling her into an embrace that was both comforting and charged. The erotic suspense built, alone now on the ridge, the city below, fleet above. Would they seize the moment? Zara's lips found his neck, a soft kiss that sent shivers through him, her body pressing insistently. "Show me what humans do when danger passes," she murmured, her voice a sultry invitation. Hands exploring boldly now, slipping under fabric to feel warm skin. Rex's response was immediate, his own hands roaming her back, dipping lower to cup her curves, eliciting a gasp of pleasure from her. The wind howled, but their world narrowed to touches. Whispers, the slow unraveling of barriers. Suspense lingered in every caress. How far would they go before the next threat? They sank to the soft moss of the ridge, her white hair fanning out like a halo, body arching under his touch. The erotic dance unfolded slowly, her silks parting to reveal more of her alluring form, skin glowing in the moonlight. Rex's lips trailed down her neck, tasting the sweetness of her, feeling her quiver. "You're beautiful," he whispered, hands gentle yet insistent, exploring the contours that had tempted him since first sight. Zara's responses were eager, her pointed ears flushing with arousal, hands guiding him, showing what pleased her in ways both alien and familiar. The toxin in her system amplified sensations for both, turning every touch into fire. Suspense built with each layer shed, the night air cool against heated skin, their bodies entwining in a rhythm that defied the war around them. As passion crested, whispers of pleasure filled the air, her moans soft and melodic, his groans deep and raw. It was a union of worlds, erotic and profound, suspense giving way to release. But even in ecstasy, the distant hum of ships reminded them this was but a pause. Panting, entwined, Zara traced patterns on his chest. "This changes everything," she said, voice husky with satisfaction. Rex kissed her forehead, the erotic glow lingering. For the better. But as lights approached from below, suspense returned. They had to move, their bond now unbreakable fuel for the trials ahead. As the lights from below crept closer, piercing the night like accusatory fingers, Rex and Zara disentangled themselves with reluctant urgency, their bodies still humming from the intimate fusion that had just bound them in ways neither could fully comprehend. The moss beneath them felt suddenly cold, a stark contrast to the heat they'd shared, and Rex helped her to her feet, his hands lingering on her hips a moment longer than necessary, savoring the curve of her form before the reality of pursuit crashed back in. Zara adjusted her silks with a graceful flick, her white hair tousled and wild, those pointed ears flushed with the afterglow, but her violet eyes sharpened instantly. Scanning the approaching glow, lantern drones, she realized, sent by the Empress's elite guard, their hum growing into an ominous drone that vibrated through the ridge. "We've lingered too long," she murmured, her voice a blend of regret and resolve, pressing close to him once more not for passion but for strategy, her breath still ragged against his ear. The erotic haze lifted just enough to reveal the thrill of the chase anew, hearts pounding not only from ecstasy but from the dramatic precipice they teetered on. Rex nodded, his enhanced senses picking up the subtle whir of engines, the faint chatter of Toxari commands echoing up the slope. Their bond, forged in that stolen climax of bodies and souls, now fueled a desperate dash. He grabbed her hand, interlacing fingers slick with sweat, and they bolted along the ridge's edge, the drop yawning beside them like a hungry void, the path twisted perilously, rocks crumbling underfoot, each step a thrilling gamble against gravity and time. Zara led, her knowledge of Zarathia's terrain an invaluable edge, but the drones closed in, their beams sweeping like searchlights in a cosmic hunt. One beam caught Rex's boot, illuminating them for a split second, and a shout rang out from below, "There, the traitor and her pet human." The words stung Zara, igniting a fire in her chest. Traitor? For following a prophecy, for embracing a connection that defied her world's lethal norms. Curiosity burned within her. What secrets did Rex's immunity hold? Was he truly the harbinger her elders whispered of, or something more surprising, a catalyst for upheaval? They veered into a narrow crevasse, the walls closing in like jaws, forcing them to squeeze through single file. Rex went first, his broad frame scraping stone, muscles straining from the toxin's lingering boost, every scrape a reminder of his newfound power. Behind him, Zara's hand trailed his back, a touch that was both reassuring and electric, stirring memories of their recent union even as danger mounted. The dramatic irony wasn't lost on him. Hours ago, he'd been a crashed survivor. Now, he was entangled in an alien intrigue, his body altered, his heart claimed. A drone buzzed overhead, its sensor pinging loudly, and Rex shoved Zara down just as a stun bolt cracked against the rock above, showering them in sparks. "They're hurting us," Zara gasped, her eyes wide with thrilling realization, the chase turning into a game of wits amid the cliffs. She pulled a small device from her belt, a disruptor, and fired upward, the pulse scrambling the drone's circuits, sending it spiraling into the abyss with a satisfying whine. But more came, a swarm now, their lights converging like stars aligning for doom. Rex's mind raced, curiosity piqued by her tech. Humans had gadgets, but Toxari ingenuity wove biology and machine in ways that surprised him. "What's the end game here?" he asked, voice low and urgent as they emerged from the crevasse onto a plateau overlooking the capital's spires, glowing ethereally under the moons. Zara hesitated, her porcelain skin paling slightly in the moonlight, a dramatic pause that heightened the tension. "The Empress, my sister," she confessed, the words dropping like a bombshell, surprising even herself for revealing it now, in this breathless moment. Rex froze, thrill coursing through him. Sister, the ruler of this empire, the architect of the war, blood kin to the woman who just surrendered her body and perhaps her loyalty to him. The revelation curdled the air, making every shadow seem conspiratorial. She sees humans as vermin, but if she learns of your survival, of us, it'll shatter the throne's foundation. The confession hung between them, curious implications unfolding. Was this alliance a rebellion in the making? Before Rex could probe deeper, the plateau trembled, ground troops ascending via anti-grav lifts, their armored forms materializing like phantoms. The climax loomed, thrilling in its inevitability, no more running, only confrontation. Zara drew her energy blade, its hum syncing with Rex's pulse rifle, charged and ready. "Fight with me," she urged, her voice dramatic, laced with the raw emotion of a warrior torn between duty and desire. Rex stepped beside her, their shoulders brushing, the contact a spark in the gathering storm. The first wave hit like a tidal force, elite Toxari guards, clad in iridescent armor that shifted colors to blend with the night, their faces masked but eyes gleaming with fanatic zeal. Blades clashed in a symphony of energy, sparks flying as Rex parried a thrust, his movements a blur of enhanced agility. One guard lunged at Zara, aiming for her throat, but Rex intercepted, slamming his rifle butt into the attacker's helm with bone-jarring force. The guard staggered, and Zara finished it with a swift slash, her blade singing through the air, but the thrill escalated. These weren't mere scouts, the Empress's chosen, trained in the art of the kiss as well, their lips a weapon if close quarters demanded. A larger guard, a hulking figure with augmented limbs, charged Rex, swinging a vibro-axe that whistled death. Rex dodged, the blade embedding in rock inches from his head, curiosity flashing. How had Toxari tech evolved such brutes? He countered with a burst from his rifle, the plasma scorching the guard's shoulder, but it pressed on, relentless. Zara leaped into the fray, her silken garments flowing like a banner of defiance, delivering a kick that sent another foe tumbling off the plateau's edge, a scream echoing into the void. The battle was dramatic poetry, human grit against alien elegance, each clash building toward an unseen peak. Surprise struck when a guard unmasked, a face eerily similar to Zara's, violet eyes mirroring hers but twisted with betrayal. "Sister's pet," she snarled, voice dripping venom, revealing herself as a royal kin, perhaps a cousin indoctrinated in loyalty. The revelation thrilled Rex, family ties ran deep here, turning the fight personal. She closed on Zara, blades locking in a furious dance, sparks illuminating their faces, regal features contorted in rage versus resolve. "You disgrace us," the guard hissed, attempting a grapple to deliver the fatal kiss. Zara twisted free, but the guard's lips grazed her cheek, a near miss that made her recoil, the toxin harmless to her own kind but a reminder of fragility. Rex, seeing the opening, tackled the unmasked foe, pinning her arms. "Enough," he roared, his voice echoing dramatically across the plateau. But the guard laughed, a chilling sound, and activated a hidden beacon. Suddenly, the sky darkened further, reinforcements descending from orbit, drop pods streaking like meteors, thrilling in their ominous beauty. Curiosity piqued as one pod landed nearby, hatch hissing open to reveal the Empress herself, a towering figure in opulent robes, hair like Zara's but crowned with crystalline thorns, her presence a surprising escalation. "Zara," she intoned, voice booming with imperial authority, stepping forward amid her guards, the climax crystallizing. "You've brought the enemy to our doorstep, and for what? This human anomaly?" Rex stood defiant, rifle trained, but the Empress's gaze locked on him, curious and calculating. "He survived your kiss, sister, but can he survive mine?" The words hung, thrilling suspense coiling tighter. Her toxin, legend said, was amplified, a queen's prerogative that could fell armies. Zara stepped protectively in front, blade raised, the dramatic standoff electric, guards encircled them, the plateau a stage for cosmic drama. Rex felt the toxin's boost surging anew, perhaps triggered by adrenaline, his body ready for the ultimate test. Surprise lingered in the air. What if he not only survived but turned her power against her? The Empress advanced, lips curving in a predatory smile, the thrill of the unknown pulsing through every heartbeat. In that charged moment, Zara whispered to Rex, "Trust me," her hand squeezing his, a curious plan forming in her eyes. As the Empress closed in, the battle reignited, guards swarming, blades flashing in a whirlwind. Rex fought like a tempest, disarming two with precise shots, his movements thrillingly precise, dodging a kiss attempt that would have doomed a lesser being. Zara dueled her sister directly, their blades a blur of sibling rivalry amplified to galactic scale, each strike laced with years of unspoken tension. A guard's bolt grazed Rex's arm, pain flaring but fueling his rage. He retaliated with a grapple, slamming the foe down, curiosity driving him. What made humans so resilient? The Empress laughed, dramatic and unhinged. Your kind adapts, but we evolve. She lunged at Zara, forcing her back, but Rex intervened, shoving the Empress aside with superhuman strength. Surprise etched her face. She'd underestimated him. The climax peaked as drop pods unleashed more troops, the plateau erupting in chaos. Rex and Zara back-to-back, a united front, their bond the surprising weapon. In a thrilling twist, Zara fainted, allowing the Empress close, then whispered something inaudible. The Empress's eyes widened in shock. Betrayal? Revelation? She staggered, not from toxin, but from words that pierced deeper. Guards faltered, curious murmurs rippling. Rex seized the moment, firing into the air to signal his fleet, lights blooming above as human ships descended. The Empress rallied, destroy them, but cracks showed, loyalty wavering at the sight of the unbreakable human. Thrilling escapes narrowed, a chasm bridge collapsed under fire, forcing a leap of faith. Rex and Zara jumped, hands clasped, landing precariously on the other side, hearts pounding. The Empress pursued, her forces in tow, the chase dramatic and unrelenting. Surprise culminated when Zara revealed her plan. The prophecy speaks of a union that ends the war, not through death, but alliance. Her sister's toxin, if survived, could bond empires. As they fled toward the capital's outskirts, the Empress closing, Rex prepared for the ultimate kiss, a thrilling gamble that could shatter or save worlds. The night thundered with pursuit, every shadow hiding potential doom, curiosity about their fate driving them onward. Dramatic winds howled, moons witnessing the climax unfold, surprising turns awaiting in the heart of Zarathia, as the winds whipped fiercer, carrying the scent of impending storm clouds that mirrored the turmoil in Zara's heart. She and Rex dashed into the labyrinthine outskirts of Zarathia's capital, the spires rising like accusatory fingers against the turbulent sky. The Empress's forces were relentless, their anti-grav skimmers slicing through the air, with a whine that echoed the dramatic urgency of their flight, each near-miss bolt scorching the ground behind them and heightening the stakes to a fever pitch. Zara's mind raced faster than her feet, the revelation she'd whispered to her sister, an ancient scroll's prophecy about a human-Toxari bond ending the eternal wars, now a double-edged blade, potentially uniting or dooming them all. Rex, his arm still smarting from the graze but fueled by that unyielding human spirit, glanced back with a grin that belied the drama unfolding. Well, if this is how royal family reunions go on your planet, count me glad I'm an only child. He quipped, injecting a spark of humor into the chaos, though his voice carried the edge of someone who just leaped chasms and dodged death for a woman he'd known mere hours. Zara shot him a look, her violet eyes flashing with a mix of exasperation and amusement, the awkwardness of their situation bubbling up like an ill-timed joke at a funeral. Here they were, lovers forged in the heat of battle and passion, yet fleeing her own kin like fugitives in a bad Hollywood drama, with prophecies and empires hanging in the balance. Humor at a time like this? Your species truly is baffling. She retorted, but a small smile tugged at her lips despite herself, her pointed ears twitching as if embarrassed by the levity. They veered into a narrow alleyway lined with glowing market stalls, now abandoned in the dead of night, their holographic signs flickering erratically like nervous spectators to this interstellar soap opera. Rex nearly tripped over a discarded vendor cart piled with exotic fruits that pulsed with inner light, sending a few rolling underfoot, squishy orbs that burst with a comically sticky juice, coating his boots in a luminescent goo that made every step squelch audibly. Oh, great, now I'm leaving a trail brighter than a neon sign, Rex muttered, heightening the drama with a self-deprecating chuckle as he shook his foot, the awkward slip turning their desperate escape into a slapstick interlude. Zara stifled a laugh, grabbing his arm to steady him, her touch lingering a beat too long, reigniting the spark from their ridge-top union amid this ridiculous predicament. The humor provided a brief respite, but the pursuing skimmers' engines roared closer, their lights casting long shadows that danced mockingly on the walls, turning the alley into a stage where every corner promised either salvation or catastrophe. They ducked behind a stack of crates overflowing with silken fabrics. Zara's people traded in luxuries that now served as impromptu camouflage and pressed close, hearts thundering in unison, the intimacy of the moment clashing awkwardly with the peril. In that cramped hideout, with the scent of spiced textiles mingling with their sweat-soaked exertion, an awkward silence fell, broken only by the distant shouts of guards. Rex shifted, his broad frame brushing against hers in the tight space, and he cleared his throat, trying to whisper strategy but instead blurting. So, about that prophecy. Does it mention anything about sticky fruit disasters, or is that just our special edition? Zara's cheeks flushed a deeper shade under her porcelain skin, the drama of their bond clashing with this mundane mishap, and she elbowed him lightly. Focus, human, or should I say, my prophesied savior who can't avoid a simple fruit cart. Her tone was teasing, adding a layer of humor that lightened the weight of her sister's betrayal, but beneath it lay the heightened tension of what lay ahead, the capital's core. Where the Empress's palace loomed like a judgmental monolith, they burst from cover as a skimmer rounded the corner, its pilot spotting them with a triumphant yell that echoed dramatically through the streets. Rex fired a suppressing burst from his rifle, the plasma bolts sizzling against the vehicle's shields in a shower of sparks that lit the night like fireworks gone wrong, forcing it to veer wildly and crash into a fountain, water erupting in a comical geyser that soaked pursuing foot soldiers. Take that, you overzealous chauffeurs. Rex called back, his humor a shield against the escalating drama, but Zara pulled him onward, her grip firm, navigating the maze of alleys with the precision of someone who'd played in these streets as a child, now twisted into a battlefield of personal reckoning. The awkwardness peaked when they slammed into a dead end, a towering wall adorned with intricate murals depicting Toxari legends, including one eerily similar to their situation, a warrior embracing an otherworldly figure under stormy skies. Dead end? Really? Your hometown's got a sense of irony, Rex said, panting as he scanned for an escape, the humor undercut by the dramatic thump of boots closing in. Zara pressed her palm to a hidden panel in the mural, her fingers dancing over glowing runes. But nothing happened at first, awkward seconds ticking by as she muttered ancient curses under her breath. Rex leaned in, his breath on her neck, whispering, "Need a hand, or maybe a kiss for luck?" The suggestion hung there, laced with flirtatious humor, but the timing was so off it made her snort despite the peril, her ears pinning back in embarrassment. Finally, the panel hummed to life, sliding open to reveal a secret passage, dank and cobwebby, leading underground toward the palace depths. They plunged in, the door sealing behind them with a dramatic thud that muffled the guards' frustrated cries, plunging them into dim, bioluminescent-lit tunnels that smelled of earth and forgotten history. The drama heightened here in the confined space, echoes amplifying every footfall, every whispered word, as if the walls themselves were eavesdropping on their fate. Zara led, her silken attire snagging on roots, tearing slightly to reveal more of her curvaceous form in a way that made Rex avert his eyes, awkwardly, given the narrow path forced constant proximity. "Eyes forward, Rex," she teased, catching his glance, adding a humorous lilt to her voice that belied the tension. Or do humans always get distracted in tunnels? He chuckled, rubbing his neck sheepishly. Only when the view's this, legendary, but the levity faded as the tunnel sloped downward, the air growing heavier with the scent of incense from the palace above, signaling they were nearing the heart of power and confrontation. Dramatic visions plagued Zara, facing her sister, the empress whose throne she'd once coveted in youthful ambition, now a symbol of everything wrong with their war-torn ways. An awkward memory surfaced, childhood games where they'd play at ruling, only for it to end in tears over who got the crown, and now, here she was, allying with the enemy to fulfill a dusty prophecy. Rex sensed her turmoil, squeezing her hand. "Hey, if it helps, my family's holiday dinners were battle royales too. Nothing says drama like arguing over the last piece of pie." Their path opened into a subterranean chamber, vast and echoing, adorned with ancient artifacts that glowed with inner fire, relics of Toxari history, including a pedestal holding the very scroll Zara had mentioned, its holographic text shimmering like a beacon. But drama struck as alarms blared, they triggered a silent ward. Guards poured in from side tunnels, encircling them in a ring of energy blades, their faces a mix of shock and duty-bound fury. In the center stood the Empress's vizier, a wiry Toxari male with a sneer that could curdle milk, his robes billowing dramatically. Zara, the fallen commander, and her human toy, how quaint and awkward, really, to see royalty slumming it in the sewers. Rex stepped forward, rifle ready, but Zara held him back, her voice steady despite the heightened stakes. "Vizier Kale, this ends tonight." The prophecy, Kale laughed, a dramatic cackle that echoed off the walls, interrupting with theatrical flair. "Prophecy? Spare me the fairy tales. Your sister's mercy is spent, she'll have your heads for this farce. The awkwardness intensified as Kale's eyes raked over them, noting their disheveled state, the torn silks, the sticky fruit residue on Rex's boots, and he smirked. And what a sight you make. Did you stop for a picnic on your treasonous jaunt? Humor flickered in Rex's response, diffusing the tension just enough. Yeah, the fruit was killer, literally glowing. Your planet's got snacks with attitude. The guards shifted uneasily, a few suppressing snickers, the absurdity humanizing the moment amid the drama. But Kale wasn't amused, he signaled, and the circle tightened, blades humming closer. Zara and Rex back to back again, the chamber a powder keg of impending clash, awkward alliances tested against familial bonds. The fight erupted dramatically, blades clashing in a whirlwind of light and shadow, Rex's enhanced reflexes turning him into a force of nature, dodging thrusts with acrobatic flips that would have been comical if not so deadly. Like a dancer in a mosh pit, one guard swung wide, missing Rex but slicing a relic pedestal, sending artifacts tumbling in a chaotic cascade that tripped two others, adding humorous pandemonium to the melee. Zara fought with elegant fury, her blade an extension of her will, parrying Kale's strikes while whispering taunts. Always the sister's lapdog, Kale, awkward position for a vizier. Rex disarmed a guard with a well-timed kick, the weapon skittering across the floor to Zara, who caught it mid-spin, a seamless team move that heightened their dramatic synergy. But Kale pressed Zara, his blade grazing her side, drawing a hiss of pain that made Rex's blood boil. Not on my watch, Rex growled, tackling Kale with brute force, the two rolling in a tangle of robes and armor, an awkward grapple that ended with Rex pinning him, fist raised. Yield, or I'll make this even more embarrassing for you. Kale spat defiance, but the guards wavered, seeing their leader bested by a mere human. Drama crested as Zara approached the scroll pedestal, activating it with a touch, the hologram blooming to life, projecting the prophecy for all to see, images of a human and Toxari united, ending the wars. Murmurs rippled, awkward doubt seeding rebellion. See, it's real, Zara declared, her voice echoing with triumphant drama. But Kale twisted free, activating a hidden device, a force field snapping up, separating Rex and Zara from the guards, heightening the isolation. Fools, the Empress approaches. He sneered, retreating as reinforcements thundered in. The awkward standoff left them trapped, the scrolls light their only companion, humor fading into tense anticipation. Rex banged on the field futilely, then turned to Zara with a wry smile. Well, this is cozy, prophetic date night. She rolled her eyes, but leaned into him, the drama of their predicament underscoring their bond. As the Empress's voice boomed from above, demanding surrender, they prepared for the next twist, awkward situations piling on like cosmic comedy, yet their resolve unbreakable. The chamber shook with approaching footsteps, every second stretching the drama tauter, promising revelations that could shatter empires or forge new ones in the fires of unlikely love. As the chamber's tremors intensified, the force field humming like a barrier between fate and fury, Zara and Rex stood defiant amid the glowing relics, their hands finding each other in a grip that spoke volumes of their burgeoning alliance. The scroll's hologram flickered, casting ethereal patterns across their faces, illuminating the resolve in Zara's violet eyes and the steadfast determination in Rex's. Footsteps thundered closer, the Empress's arrival imminent. But in that suspended moment of anticipation, Zara turned to him fully, her porcelain skin aglow, white hair framing her like a halo of starlight. If this is our last stand, she whispered, her voice a soft caress amid the chaos, I want no regrets. Her pointed ears quivered slightly, a telltale sign of vulnerability she'd shown only to him, and Rex felt the pull deepen, the fires of their unlikely love igniting anew against the encroaching storm. Rex pulled her closer, the force field isolating them in a cocoon of intimacy while the world outside raged. The awkward humor from moments ago dissolved into something profound, the drama of their predicament transforming into a private sanctuary where empires faded and only they existed. His fingers traced the curve of her jaw, gentle yet insistent, drawing her lips to his in a kiss that started tender but quickly built with the passion they'd discovered on the ridge. Zara responded with equal fervor, her body pressing against his, the silken fabric of her attire a thin veil between them. The air grew warmer, charged with the electricity of their connection, every touch a reminder of how his survival of her toxin had unlocked doors neither had anticipated. As their kiss deepened, hands explored with a familiarity born of shared peril, mapping the contours that had tempted and teased through battles and escapes. The chamber's relics seemed to watch in silent approval, their ancient lights pulsing in rhythm with their quickening breaths. Zara's hands slipped under the edges of his combat suit, feeling the warmth of his skin, the steady beat of his heart that echoed her own. Rex mirrored her, his palms gliding along the elegant lines of her back, dipping lower to hold her hips, pulling her flush against him in a way that made her gasp softly into his mouth. The intimacy escalated, a dance of discovery where barriers, both literal and metaphorical, melted away. She guided him to the chamber's floor, a soft mat of woven fibers amid the artifacts, their bodies entwining with a grace that blended her alien elegance and his human strength. Whispers passed between them, words of affirmation and desire, as clothing parted just enough to allow skin to meet skin, the sensation sending waves of warmth through them both. In this stolen interlude, with the Empress's forces pounding at the force field beyond, their union became a testament to resilience and connection. Zara's touch was exploratory, her fingers tracing paths that elicited shivers from Rex, while he returned the favor with caresses that made her arch into him, her white hair spilling across the mat like spilled moonlight. The toxin's lingering effects amplified every sensation, turning gentle strokes into bursts of shared ecstasy, their movements synchronized in a rhythm that spoke of trust and surrender. Soft sounds filled the space, murmurs of pleasure, the rustle of fabric, the quiet affirmations that this bond was worth every risk. Rex marveled at her form, curvaceous and inviting, a blend of strength and softness that captivated him completely, while Zara found in him a partner who saw beyond her lethal legacy to the woman beneath. Time seemed to stretch, the dramatic external threats fading into a distant hum as they lost themselves in each other. Her lips trailed along his neck, planting kisses that carried no harm but only invitation, drawing low sounds from him that encouraged her further. Rex's hands roamed with reverence, appreciating the unique details, the subtle glow of her skin, the delicate points of her ears that flushed under his attention, building a crescendo of closeness that left them both breathless. It was a celebration of survival, of the improbable spark between worlds, where every embrace healed the wounds of war and forged something unbreakable. As they moved together, the intimacy reached its peak, a harmonious blend of passion and tenderness that washed over them like a wave, leaving them entwined in a glow of contentment. But even in this haven, reality intruded subtly, the force field's hum wavering slightly under persistent assaults, a reminder that their reprieve was temporary. Zara rested her head on his chest, her breathing steadying as she listened to his heartbeat, strong and reassuring. "You've awakened parts of me I thought dormant," she confessed softly, her fingers interlacing with his. Rex stroked her hair, the strands silky under his touch, and replied with a quiet smile, "And you've shown me stars I never knew existed." The moment lingered, their bodies still close, sharing warmth in the cool chamber air, the intimacy a shield against the storm brewing outside. As the force field flickered under a particularly heavy barrage, Zara sat up slightly, her silks draping elegantly once more, though the disarray added to her allure. Rex followed suit, adjusting his suit with a reluctant sigh, their eyes meeting in a shared understanding that this connection would carry them through whatever came next. The dramatic irony wasn't lost on them, finding such profound closeness in the bowels of an enemy stronghold, mere moments before confrontation. Yet it empowered them, the bond now a source of strength rather than distraction. The chamber doors groaned under pressure, the Empress's voice filtering through in muffled commands, heightening the urgency once more. Zara activated a secondary control on the scroll pedestal, her fingers dancing over the holograms with practiced ease, seeking a way to lower the field on their terms. Rex stood beside her, rifle at the ready, but his free hand rested on her shoulder, a silent promise of unity. As the field began to dissipate with a soft whine, they faced the entrance together, bodies still humming from their intimate escape, ready to confront the revelations that awaited. Guards burst in first, blades ignited, but hesitated at the sight of the activated prophecy hologram, its images now projecting larger, enveloping the room in visions of peace through union. The Empress followed, her presence commanding, robes swirling like a tempest, her face a mask of imperial fury tempered by the scroll's undeniable glow. "What sorcery is this?" she demanded, her violet eyes, so similar to Zara's, narrowing at the pair. Noting their closeness, the subtle marks of their recent intimacy that spoke volumes without words, Zara stepped forward, chin high, her voice steady despite the flush still lingering on her cheeks. No sorcery, sister, destiny. The human has proven it, survived the kiss, embraced the bond. We can end this war. Rex flanked her, his stance protective, the intimacy they'd shared fueling his resolve to stand against an empire if needed. The Empress circled them slowly, her guards holding position, the drama thickening like fog in the chamber. Embraced, you say? How? Intimately? Her tone dripped with suspicion, but beneath it lay a flicker of curiosity, perhaps even envy, at the connection her sister had found. Rex met her gaze evenly, unflinching, enough to know it's real. Your move, your majesty. Tension crackled, the room a powder keg of familial drama and interstellar fate. As the Empress raised a hand, signaling her guards to stand down for now, the air shifted, the intimacy between Rex and Zara becoming the pivot on which empires might turn. Whispers among the guards grew, seeds of doubt or hope planted by the hologram's persistent glow. In quiet corners of the chamber, as negotiations teetered on the edge, Zara stole a glance at Rex, her hand brushing his discreetly, a reminder of their shared secret strength. The bond, deepened in those stolen moments, now radiated outward, influencing the very air around them. Whatever revelations came, they faced them united, the fires of their love a beacon in the gathering storm. The Empress finally spoke, her voice echoing with reluctant authority. Prove it further, then, if this bond holds the key, demonstrate its power. Her challenge hung, dramatic and fraught, but Zara and Rex exchanged a knowing look. Their intimacy had already proven more than words could, a foundation for the trials ahead. As discussions unfolded, heated and layered with history, their physical closeness remained a subtle undercurrent, touches light but meaningful, sustaining them through the verbal battles. The chamber transformed from prison to council hall, the intimacy they'd nurtured becoming the unspoken force driving toward resolution or revolution. Hours blurred in debate, but in lulls, when guards averted eyes, Zara leaned into Rex, her whisper warm against his ear. What we shared. It's our weapon now. He nodded, his arm around her waist briefly, the contact reigniting that inner fire without need for more. The night wore on, the intimacy evolving from physical to emotional, a tapestry woven in the heart of conflict. As alliances shifted tentatively, their bond stood as the surprising constant, a human-alien connection that could redefine galaxies. Yet challenges loomed, the Empress's tests, the fleet's approach, the prophecy's full demands. But fortified by their union, they pressed forward, the drama of their love story unfolding in ways that promised to captivate and transform. As the Empress's challenge echoed through the chamber, her words hanging like a gauntlet thrown into the flickering hologram's light, Zara felt a surge of determination ripple through her, bolstered by the quiet strength of Rex at her side. The guards shifted uneasily, their energy blades dimming slightly as if the prophecy's projections had sown seeds of doubt in their ranks, turning what could have been a swift execution into a tense negotiation. Rex squeezed her hand discreetly, his touch a grounding force amid the swirling politics, reminding her of the intimate moments they'd shared just beyond this very force field, moments that now felt like the true proof of their bond. More potent than any ancient text. The Empress paced slowly, her crystalline crown catching the light in sharp prisms, her expression a mask of calculated intrigue rather than outright rage, as if she were weighing the scales of empire against the whims of fate. Very well, she conceded at last, her voice smooth as polished obsidian. If this union is the key, then let us test its depths. Zara, my wayward sister, you will accompany the human to the Vault of Echoes. There, the ancestors' wisdom will judge your claim, survive its trials, and perhaps I'll entertain this absurdity of peace. Zara's heart skipped. The vault, a forbidden sanctum deep beneath the palace, whispered in legends as a place where truths were stripped bare and illusions shattered. She'd never set foot there, reserved only for empresses during coronations, but the challenge ignited a fire in her, mingling with the warmth still lingering from Rex's embrace. Rex, ever the adaptable human, arched an eyebrow but nodded firmly, his voice steady as he addressed the room. Lead the way. We've come this far. What's one more ancient test? The Empress's lips curved in an enigmatic smile, gesturing to her vizier Kale, who bowed with exaggerated deference before activating a hidden mechanism. A section of the chamber floor ear-eyed open, revealing a spiraling staircase descending into shadows lit by faint, pulsing veins of crystal that seemed to breathe with the planet's own rhythm. Guards flanked them as they descended, the air growing cooler and thicker, carrying a faint hum like distant whispers, heightening the sense of descending into the unknown. The group moved in silence at first, the only sounds the soft footfalls echoing off the walls and the occasional drip of condensation from the ceiling, each drop a reminder of time's relentless march. Zara walked close to Rex, their shoulders brushing, drawing comfort from his presence amid the oppressive atmosphere. She leaned in slightly, her voice a murmur meant only for him. The vault holds the collective memories of our rulers. It probes the mind, reveals hidden truths. Whatever it uncovers, we face it together. Rex glanced at her, his eyes reflecting the crystal glow, and squeezed her hand again, a silent vow that echoed their earlier intimacy. But as they delved deeper, a subtle unease crept in. The guards' postures stiffened. Kale's smirks grew more pronounced, and the Empress herself seemed almost expectant, as if anticipating a spectacle. At the staircase's end, massive doors of iridescent alloy loomed, etched with swirling patterns that depicted Toxari history, wars among stars, kisses that felled empires, and enigmatic figures bridging worlds. The Empress placed her palm on a central glyph, and the doors groaned open, releasing a rush of air laced with ozone and antiquity. Inside, the vault unfolded like a cavernous dome, its walls alive with holographic echoes, ghostly figures of past rulers flickering in and out, their voices a choral murmur that tugged at the edges of sanity. In the center stood a crystalline pedestal, pulsing with an inner light that drew the eye inexorably, promising revelation or ruin. "Enter the circle," the Empress commanded, her tone laced with dramatic finality, as guards formed a perimeter, blades at the ready. Zara and Rex stepped forward, hand in hand, into the glowing ring etched on the floor, the air within shimmering like a veil between realities. As the pedestal activated, a beam of light enveloped them, warm at first, then probing, delving into their minds like gentle fingers sifting through memories. Zara felt her past unspool, childhood rivalries with her sister, the weight of command, the lethal burden of her toxin, and then Rex, his crash, their first kiss, the passion on the ridge, the chamber's stolen closeness. It was intimate, exposing, but affirming, her bond with him shining like a beacon. Rex experienced it too, his thoughts laid bare, Earth's battles, the war's toll, the surprising pull toward this alien warrior, the enhancements her touch granted, turning vulnerability into victory. The echoes amplified their connection, projecting faint images around them, ghostly recreations of their encounters, tasteful yet evocative, drawing murmurs from the onlookers. But then, the light intensified, digging deeper, and a ripple of discomfort washed over Rex. Flashes appeared, not his memories, but fragments, a laboratory on a distant colony, scientists in white coats, a child with subtle pointed ears hidden under hair, a serum injected to blend species for espionage. Confusion gripped him. These weren't his, or were they? The pedestal hummed louder, the echoes coalescing into a singular voice. Ancient and resonant, the bond is true, but the vessel, altered. Zara's eyes widened as the projections shifted, revealing a shocking truth. Rex wasn't fully human. Long ago, during early skirmishes, Toxari agents had infiltrated human outposts, experimenting with hybrid offspring to create sleeper agents, resilient to toxins, enhanced by kisses, designed to infiltrate and destroy from within. Rex was one such hybrid, abducted as an infant, his memories suppressed, raised as human to serve unknowingly as a bridge or a weapon. The revelation hit like a supernova, surprising everyone, including the Empress, whose composed facade cracked for the first time, her violet eyes flashing with genuine shock. "Impossible," she breathed, stepping forward as the light dimmed, the projections freezing on an image of a Toxari scientist holding a baby with familiar features, Rex's face in infancy. Kale stammered, his sneers forgotten, while guards exchanged bewildered glances. Zara pulled away slightly, not in rejection, but in stunned processing, her hand still in his as she searched his eyes. "Rex, you're part of us." The twist unraveled everything. His immunity wasn't mere human adaptability but engineered heritage. The toxins boost to activation of dormant genes. Rex reeled, fragments of suppressed dreams now making sense, visions of alien skies, a mother's lullaby in Toxari tongue. I didn't know," he whispered, the surprise twisting in his gut. But strangely, it didn't shatter their bond. If anything, it deepened it, explaining the instant connection, the effortless fusion of their worlds. The chamber erupted in chaos, the Empress recovering first, her voice thundering, "A hybrid, our own creation, turned against us or for us." She advanced, curiosity warring with opportunism, seeing in Rex not an enemy but a lost asset, a key to dominance. Guards tensed, unsure where loyalties lay. As the prophecy's hologram adapted, Incorporating this twist, the union wasn't just between species but a reclamation, a hybrid savior bridging the divide. Zara, heart-pounding, pulled Rex closer, her initial shock melting into fierce protectiveness. "This changes nothing about us," she declared, her voice steady amid the surprise, turning to her sister. "He's the fulfillment, not a tool. End the war or lose everything." Rex, grappling with his fractured identity, felt the enhancement surge anew, not from toxin, but from awakening heritage, his senses sharpening further, strength coiling like never before. The twist empowered him, transforming surprise into resolve. He was no longer just a soldier, but a linchpin of two worlds. As the Empress hesitated, weighing the implications, a distant rumble shook the vault, human fleet breaching the defenses above, drawn by Rex's earlier signal. Alarms wailed, heightening the drama, but Rex stepped forward, his voice booming with newfound authority. "I'm the proof you need. Hybrid or not, I choose peace and her." He gestured to Zara, their bond unbreakable despite the revelation. The Empress's expression shifted from shock to calculation, the surprise forcing her hand. "Then prove it in battle," she challenged, but cracks showed, guards murmuring about the ancestors' judgment, Kale retreating into shadows. Zara and Rex exchanged a glance, the twist binding them tighter, surprise giving way to unity. As forces mobilized, the vault's echoes whispered approvals, the powerful revelation reshaping alliances in an instant, yet deeper secrets lingered. If Rex was hybrid, who else among humans carried Toxari blood? The thought fueled Rex's determination, turning personal upheaval into galactic revolution. They ascended from the vault, guards parting uncertainly, the Empress trailing with reluctant commands to hold fire. Above, the capital trembled under assault, but Rex, now embracing his dual nature, radioed his fleet, "Stand down, we've got a family reunion to sort out." Zara smiled faintly, her hand in his, the surprise of his heritage a bridge rather than a barrier. "My hybrid hero," she teased softly, but her eyes held wonder. Together, they emerged into the palace halls, where courtiers gaped at the unfolding drama, the twist rippling outward like waves from a stone in still water. Negotiations resumed in the grand throne room, but now with Rex at the center, his bloodline evidence of past infiltrations. Surprising admissions from the Empress about old experiments meant to weaken humanity, but instead creating unbreakable ties. Human commanders, patched in via hologram, reacted with equal astonishment, databases confirming abductions long classified as mysteries. The war's roots unraveled, not greed, but fear of these hybrids awakening and tipping balances. Amid the talks, Rex felt Zara's presence like an anchor, their intimate connection now layered with this profound truth. "I was made for this for you," he murmured during a break, pulling her into a quiet alcove, their kiss sealing the twist's impact. She responded warmly, her toxin, now his heritage, flowing harmlessly, enhancing them both as accords formed tentatively. The surprise twist catalyzed change, hybrids across galaxies revealed, alliances forged from shared blood. Rex led the charge, his dual identity the ultimate weapon for peace, surprising even himself with the power it unleashed. But shadows remained. Kale's furtive glances hinted at deeper conspiracies, perhaps factions unwilling to yield. Yet for now, the revelation stood as a beacon, the powerful twist that surprised all, turning enemies into kin and war into wary truce. The night deepened, stars wheeling above Zarathia, as Rex and Zara stood on a balcony overlooking the calming skies, human ships holding orbit in goodwill. Who knew crashing here would uncover this? Rex said, arm around her waist. Zara leaned into him, her white hair mingling with the breeze. "The stars have a way of surprising us." Their bond, forged in fire and revelation, promised a future rewritten, the twist a surprise gift from the cosmos. As the stars wheeled lazily above Zarathia, their distant twinkles mocking the fragile truce below, Rex and Zara lingered on the balcony, the cool night breeze carrying whispers of uncertainty that tugged at the edges of their newfound peace. The human ships hung in orbit like watchful guardians, their hulls glinting under the moon's glow, while below in the palace halls, emissaries from both sides hammered out details of the accord, terms of disarmament, shared resources, and the delicate integration of hybrids like Rex into a unified society. Zara's arm slipped around his waist, her touch a comforting anchor amid the swirling thoughts of his revealed heritage. But even in this quiet interlude, drama simmered just beneath the surface, ready to boil over at the slightest provocation. Rex turned to her, his hybrid senses picking up the subtle shift in her scent, a mix of resolve and lingering doubt, and he couldn't help but crack a wry smile. So, does this make me royalty now, or just the awkward in-law at family dinners? Zara's laugh was soft, a melodic ripple that cut through the tension, but her violet eyes held a flicker of awkwardness as she glanced toward the throne room doors, where shadows of courtiers moved like ghosts in a play. Royalty? Hardly. More like the unexpected guest who shows up with a hidden pedigree and appends the feast. She leaned her head on his shoulder, her white hair tickling his neck, but the moment was shattered by a sudden commotion from within, a raised voice echoing through the corridors, sharp and accusatory, heightening the drama as if the cosmos itself conspired to test their bond. Kale's unmistakable sneer carried on the air. This hybrid farce will doom us all. The Empress bends to prophecy. But I see treason. They exchanged a glance, the humor evaporating into urgency, and hurried inside, their footsteps sinking in that effortless rhythm born of battles shared. The throne room was a cauldron of heightened emotions, emissaries frozen mid-gesture, human diplomats in crisp uniforms staring wide-eyed at Kale, who stood defiantly before the Empress, his robes disheveled as if he'd been pacing in fury. The Empress sat on her throne, crystalline crown casting fractured rainbows across the floor, her face a storm cloud of imperial poise cracking under pressure. "Vizier, your outburst borders on sedition," she warned, her voice booming with dramatic authority, but Kale pressed on, gesturing wildly at Rex. "This abomination, engineered in our labs, yet he waltzes in, claims our commander, and demands peace. It's a human ploy, twisted by our own hubris." Rex stepped forward, Zara at his side, the awkwardness of the situation hitting him like a misfired plasma bolt. Here he was, the unwitting hybrid, thrust into a royal spat like a character in a poorly scripted vid drama. "Abomination? That's a bit harsh, don't you think? I mean, I just found out about the pointed ear genes myself. Could have used a heads up before the big reveal, maybe a family newsletter." His attempt at humor landed awkwardly, drawing a few stifled chuckles from the human side, but Kale's face purpled with rage, heightening the drama as he whirled on the Empress. "See, he mocks us. This truce is a sham, built on lies and illicit unions." The word unions hung heavy, laced with insinuation, and Zara's cheeks flushed, her pointed ears pinning back in embarrassment as eyes darted between them, whispers rippling about their obvious closeness. The Empress rose slowly, her robes swirling like a gathering tempest, the room's tension coiling tighter with each measured step toward Kale. "Your loyalty is noted, Vizier, but paranoia ill suits you." Yet doubt flickered in her eyes, glancing at Zara, the sister who defied her, now entangled with this hybrid enigma, and the awkward family dynamic crackled like static. Rex felt the weight of stares, human diplomats shifting uncomfortably, one murmuring to another, "Is this how they negotiate? Feels like a soap opera with lasers." Zara squeezed his hand, her voice low and urgent. "He's stirring dissent, if he sways the council." But before she could finish, Kale activated a hidden hologram from his sleeve, projecting classified files, old lab records of the hybrid program, images of experiments gone awry, and, most dramatically, a forged document implying Rex's activation was a deliberate infiltration plot. Gasps echoed, heightening the drama to a fever pitch. Human emissaries protested vehemently, one pounding the table with a fist. "This is fabricated nonsense. Our scans show no such programming." But seeds of doubt sprouted, guards gripping blades tighter, the room teetering on the edge of chaos. Rex's hybrid enhancements kicked in, senses sharpening to catch Kale's smug micro-expressions. The Vizier was bluffing, but convincingly. Awkwardness peaked when a young Toxari aide, flustered by the tension, accidentally knocked over a ceremonial urn, spilling iridescent sands across the floor in a glittering mess that crunched underfoot. "Oh, ancestors forgive me." The aide squeaked, scrambling to clean it, but slipping in the process and tumbling into a diplomat's legs, eliciting a chain reaction of stumbles that had everyone scrambling like in a comedic holovid gone wrong. Rex couldn't suppress a chuckle, bending to help the aide up. "Hey, easy there. Sand's slippery, trust me. I've dealt with worse on desert ops." The humor diffused the immediate edge, drawing reluctant smiles even from guards, but Kale seized the moment dramatically. "See the distraction? While we laugh, the hybrid consolidates power." Zara, regaining composure, stepped between them, her voice cutting like a blade. "Enough, Kale, your jealousy blinds you. The vault confirmed the truth. Rex is the bridge, not the breaker." But the Vizier's eyes gleamed with fanatic zeal, and in a twist of heightened drama, he drew a concealed disruptor, aiming not at Rex, but at the Empress herself. If you won't see reason, then I'll preserve our purity. The room exploded into action, guards lunging but hesitating, loyalty fractured by the accusations, creating an awkward standoff where allies turned uncertain. Rex moved like lightning, his hybrid agility propelling him forward, tackling Kale just as the disruptor fired, the bolt scorching the throne's armrest in a shower of sparks. They rolled across the sandy floor, Kale's robes tangling comically around his legs, turning the deadly grapple into a flailing mess. "Get off me, you mongrel." Kale spat, but Rex pinned him, wrenching the weapon free with a grunt. Mongrel, coming from the guy who just tried a coup in front of witnesses. That's rich and awkward, considering your job title. Zara was there in an instant, her energy blade humming at Kale's throat, her face a mask of betrayed fury that heightened the familial drama after all. Kale had been a mentor once, now reduced to this. The Empress approached, her expression a whirlwind of shock and gratitude, but awkward questions loomed. How deep did this descent run? Guards finally restrained Kale, dragging him away as he ranted about purist factions hidden in the shadows, his words sowing more drama even in defeat. "This isn't over. The true Toxari will rise." The room buzzed with aftermath, human diplomats clapping Rex on the back, "Nice save, hybrid or not." While Toxari courtiers murmured apologies, the awkward divide between species momentarily bridged by shared peril. But the drama didn't ebb. Alarms suddenly blared, holographic displays flaring to life with reports of sabotage, purist cells activating sleeper agents across Zarathia, tampering with defense grids as human ships loomed. The Empress whirled on her advisors. "Seal the palace, mobilize the fleets." Zara and Rex exchanged a tense look, the humor from moments ago a distant memory as they raced to a command console, her fingers flying over controls while he interfaced with his fleet via implant. Awkwardness resurfaced when a human captain's hologram popped up, eyeing Zara curiously. "So, this is the alien commander who's got our sergeant all hybrid happy. Ma'am, if you're the reason he's alive, you've got my thanks, but let's not make this a habit." Zara arched an eyebrow, a spark of humor returning amid the chaos. "Habit? Only if your ships keep crashing dramatically." Rex snorted, but the situation escalated. Screens showed purist ships decloaking, firing on both human and loyal Toxari vessels, turning orbit into a fireworks display of destruction. "They're forcing a schism," Zara realized, her voice laced with dramatic urgency, grabbing Rex's arm. "We have to lead a counterstrike from the ground." They bolted for the hangars, guards falling in behind, the palace corridors a blur of running figures and echoing alerts. In the hangar, amidst sleek Toxari fighters prepping for launch, awkward hilarity struck again. Rex, unfamiliar with the controls, hopped into a cockpit only to trigger the wrong sequence, blasting confetti-like chaff instead of engines, showering everyone in glittering foil. "Oops, party mode activated," he quipped, drawing laughs from pilots who moments ago viewed him suspiciously. Zara climbed in beside him, shaking her head with fond exasperation. "My hybrid hero, master of mishaps." But as they launched into the stormy skies, lasers streaking past, the drama heightened to epic proportions, purist forces bombarding the capital, forcing evasive maneuvers that tested their bond and skills. Dogfights ensued, Rex's hybrid reflexes syncing with Zara's expertise, their fighter weaving through debris like a dancer in peril. A purist vessel locked on, missiles inbound, and in a dramatic barrel roll, Rex evaded, counter-firing with precision that vaporized the threat. "Take that, family rejects," he yelled, but awkward tension arose when comms crackled with Kale's voice, escaped somehow, broadcasting propaganda. "The hybrid betrays his Toxari blood. Join me, kin." Zara's face paled, the personal sting heightening her resolve. "He's wrong, you're more than blood, your choice." They pressed on, rallying loyalists midair, the battle a chaotic symphony of explosions and near misses. One awkward moment came when comm grazed a debris field, spinning wildly, Zara's hand slamming controls while Rex steadied her. "If we go down, at least it's together, romantic, right?" His humor lightened the dread, but drama peaked as they targeted the purist flagship, a behemoth looming like judgment. Infiltrating its bridge via boarding pod, they fought through corridors, blades and fists flying in close quarters mayhem. Confronting Kale on the bridge, surrounded by fanatic crew, the Vizier laughed maniacally. "You think a hybrid and a traitor can stop purity's tide?" But Rex, embracing his dual nature, disarmed him with a surge of enhanced strength, pinning him against consoles sparking from damage. "Purity? Sounds lonely. Try Unity, it's got better company. Zara delivered the final blow, stunning Kale with her blade's hilt, her voice dramatic and final. For Zarathia and for us, as the flagship faltered, purists surrendering under the combined fleet's pressure, the drama crested into tentative victory. Back on the surface, amid cheers and repairs, awkward reunions awaited, the Empress embracing Zara, whispering apologies, while human commanders joked about hybrid bonuses and treaties. Rex pulled Zara close, the Knight's trials forging their bond unbreakable. Awkward family aside, this is home now. She smiled, the humor returning. With you, always an adventure. Yet whispers of remaining purists lingered, heightening the promise of future drama, but for now, they stood united. Awkward situations and all, under Zarathia's healing skies. As the whispers of lingering purists faded into the background hum of a world catching its breath, Zarathia's skies cleared to reveal a dawn painted in hues of amber and violet, a canvas of renewal that mirrored the tentative hope blooming across the planet. Rex and Zara stood atop the palace's highest turret, overlooking the capital where repair crews, human and Toxari working side by side, mended the scars of battle, their laughter mingling with the clank of tools in a symphony of unity. The purist flagship's wreckage smoldered faintly on the horizon, a remnant of division now serving as a monument to what could be overcome, while fleets from both sides orbited in formation, no longer as adversaries but as allies forging a new path. Zara's hand rested in Rex's, her porcelain skin warm against his, the subtle glow of her presence a constant reminder of how far they'd come, from crash-landed enemies to intertwined souls bridging galaxies. The Empress approached them quietly, her steps measured, the crystalline crown now seeming less a symbol of isolation and more one of shared burden. "Sister," she said, her voice softened by the Knight's revelations, extending a hand that Zara took without hesitation, the awkward rift between them mending in that simple touch. "The accords are signed. Hybrids like Rex will be welcomed, their stories honored, not hidden. You've shown me, us, that strength lies not in purity, but in the unexpected blends that make us whole." Rex nodded respectfully, his hybrid heritage no longer a surprise to unravel but a truth to celebrate, the enhancements it granted now tools for peace rather than war. "It's an honor, Your Majesty, though if family dinners are anything like last night's chaos, I might need hazard pay." The Empress's laugh was genuine, a rare sound that lightened the air, dissolving the last vestiges of imperial distance into something approaching warmth. Below, in the bustling streets, children, Toxari with their pointed ears and human refugees from nearby colonies, played together, chasing bioluminescent orbs that floated like living lanterns, their giggles a promise of generations unbound by old hatreds. Rex watched them, a pang of nostalgia for his own fragmented past mixing with joy for the future, and he pulled Zara closer, whispering, "Think we'll have little ones causing that kind of trouble someday. Half human, half Toxari, all mischief." She smiled, her violet eyes sparkling with a mix of amusement and affection, leaning into him as the wind tousled her white hair. "With your luck and my toxin, they'd be unstoppable. But yes, I'd like that, a family born of stars, not strife." As the sun climbed higher, casting golden light over the repaired spires, delegations gathered in the Grand Hall for a ceremonial exchange, human tech shared for Toxari bioenhancements, knowledge flowing freely like rivers converging. Rex stood at the podium briefly, his voice steady as he addressed the assembly, hybrids from hidden programs stepping forward to join him, their stories weaving a tapestry of resilience. "We were made in shadows, but we choose the light. Together, we're more than survivors, we're creators of something better." Applause thundered, Zara's proud gaze meeting his from the front row, her silken attire now adorned with a human insignia pinned beside her commander's crest, a subtle emblem of their personal union amid the galactic one. Yet peace wasn't without its gentle challenges, in the quieter moments that followed, as they wandered the palace gardens where flowers bloomed in response to emotions, unfurling petals at their approach, awkward conversations arose about blending customs. "Your human dates sound ridiculous," Zara teased, plucking a glowing bloom that pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. "Sitting in dark rooms watching projected stories, on Zarathia, we share minds under the moons." Rex grinned, tossing the flower back and forth like a game. "Hey, don't knock movie nights till you've tried popcorn. Besides, our first date was dodging lasers, top that for romance." They laughed, the humor a balm on any lingering wounds, turning potential divides into bridges they crossed hand in hand. Days turned to weeks. the alliance solidifying as joint expeditions launched to reclaim asteroid fields once contested, now harvested cooperatively, resources fueling innovations that benefited all. Rex adapted to his dual nature with Zara's guidance, exploring Toxari rituals that awakened dormant abilities, heightened empathy during their quiet evenings, where a simple touch conveyed volumes unspoken. She, in turn, embraced human spontaneity, joining him in impromptu dances under the stars, her graceful movements blending with his earthy rhythm in a dance that symbolized their world's harmony. The purists' remnants, scattered and discredited, faded into obscurity, their ideology crumbling under the weight of proven unity, occasional reports of defections only reinforcing the triumph. In time, as seasons cycled on Zarathia, moons waxing and waning like eternal guardians, a quiet ceremony unfolded in the Vault of Echoes, not as a test, but as a vow, surrounded by echoes of ancestors who nodded in holographic approval. Rex and Zara exchanged promises, her kiss sealing their bond with a surge of shared energy that lit the chamber in radiant blues. From crash to crown, he murmured against her lips, "You're my greatest discovery." She pulled back slightly, her curvaceous form aglow in ceremonial silks, eyes brimming with emotion. "And you, my hybrid heart, are the adventure I never knew I needed." Their story rippled outward, inspiring tales across the stars, HFY legends retold in human barracks, Toxari epics sung under triple suns, of a soldier who fell from the sky and rose as a savior, of a commander who dared love beyond her kind. Planets once at war now traded freely, hybrids emerging as ambassadors, their unique gifts forging paths to unexplored frontiers. Rex and Zara led many such voyages, their fighter now a vessel of exploration, charting nebulae where new alliances awaited. Years later, as they watched their children, two spirited hybrids with pointed ears and unyielding curiosity, chase fireflies in the gardens, Rex reflected on the journey. Who'd have thought a poisonous kiss would lead to this? Zara nestled against him, the toxin that once divided now a symbol of their unbreakable connection. The universe has a way of surprising us, but together, we make our own ending. And so, under Zarathia's eternal skies, their tale concluded not with finality, but with the gentle promise of forever, a good ending, rich with love, laughter, and the endless wonder of the cosmos. As the echoes of their laughter faded into the night, Rex and Zara knew that their legacy would endure, a beacon of hope in the vast cosmos where humanity's unyielding spirit met the stars' endless mysteries. In my opinion, this story beautifully captures the essence of HFY, showing how love and resilience can conquer even interstellar divides. What do you think? Could a single kiss really change the fate of galaxies? Thank you all for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our greatest motivation to create even better stories. Hit that button and join the adventure.